Welcome, welcome. Welcome to today's workshop. We're going to wait a little bit for people to come in before we introduce ourselves. Yes, I'm so excited to be here today with you guys. So excited to be teaching with MAKIAGE today. All right, we have, yes, everybody is coming in, signing in. Welcome, welcome. We've got people from everywhere. Thank you guys for being here today. So just to introduce myself, my name is Linda. I'm an LA-based makeup artist, and I'm accompanied today by my little sister, Hannah. Hi. Welcome. And today we're just gonna be chatting it up. We're gonna be playing around with makeup, doing our makeup, sharing tips and tricks that work best for us when we're doing our makeup. A little bit about MAKIAGE. They are a tech-based company. They are all about being your most individual, boldest, unique self. They are a prestige beauty brand, really beautiful, very, very great products. It's going to be more of a medium to full coverage, but definitely buildable, a lot of stuff to really play with and uplift and enhance your beauty. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Before we do that, we're gonna go over a little bit about what we will be using today, the shades, just so you guys know what we are using. So I am using the MAKIAGE Foundation Woke Up Like This in the shade 040. So I'm using that guy. And then Hannah's going to be using hers in the shade, I believe, 120. And then we also will be using a little bit of a combination of different things. I'm going to be using the concealer in the shade 08. And then I'm going to be adding in a little bit of the concealer in the shade 02. I'll show you how you guys can use that. And then Hannah is going to be using a mix of shades. Yes.
Shade 8 and 9.
Yes, perfect. And then we will also be using a little bit of blusher. Hannah's going to be using a matte liquid lip cream, and that one is in the shade Matte Chill Us, I think that is. Yes. And actually, we're going to show you a little trick about how you can use your matte lipsticks as a little form of blusher to add color to the face. Today's theme is highlight up the room. So we're going to teach you how to pretty much brighten a little bit using highlighting concealers, and then also using a little bit of blusher. And then I'm going to be using the powder blusher, the Mineral Baked Blush in the color Poker Face. Super, super pretty. And then we're both going to be using the Mineral Baked Bronzer in the color Wannabe. And so these are beautiful. I love the mineral finish of these powders. They're really, really beautiful. They look very skin-like on the skin. And then, of course, my favorites, all-time favorites, the transparent loose powder from MAKIAGE, and then also the hydrating setting spray. It's a must always. So we're going to get a little into it. I'm going to stop talking a little more. Let's look at the comments. Hey guys, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy for everybody who's here. All right, so let's get started. So we are gonna get started with talking a little bit about skincare. So I am going to be more of a dry kind of skin type. My skin tends to get a little bit more dry. So I love something that's a little bit richer, something that's a little bit more hydrating. For me, that works the best. So I love a good oil. I love using rosehip oil. I've already prepped the skin with a little bit of rosehip oil. And then Hannah, your skin type, what would you say you are more, how does your skin normally feel throughout the day?
I think it's oily mainly during hot weather. I definitely get drier during cold weather. So right now it's very hot in LA. So definitely oily.
It is hot out here. So definitely we need something that is, we like a little bit of a lighter foundation. So the MAKIAGE foundation is wonderful. It's a medium coverage, but it's definitely buildable. So if you like something a little bit more full coverage, you could definitely build on this makeup and use it in combo with your concealer. So they work wonderfully, beautifully. They look very natural on the skin. So we like something a little bit lighter. And because this is a demi matte formula, it's really actually going to dry down, which is really, really nice. For oily skin, that's wonderful because it's going to help really control any oiliness on the skin. Dry skin, it's great because you get to use less powder. And then on these hot days, really, it's a great foundation that stays put. If you use it in combination with the primer, holy grail, and the hydrating setting spray, it really locks it in, hydrates the skin, makes it anti-fade, anti-crack. So let's get started. So I'm using a little bit of an oil. Hannah, what kind of moisturizer do you like to use normally?
I like to use a CeraVe PM moisturizer.
Okay, perfect.
I use it in daytime too. It's pretty lightweight.
Okay, perfect. So something a little bit more lighter in consistency is great for somebody with more oily skin. I'm more dry, so I love something that's a little bit more richer for the skin. And then the quiz for this foundation is amazing. We both took it. It got us exactly to our match of foundation of our skin tone. It's a great, great foundation. And the test is just like amazing how it gets you close to your skin tone. If it doesn't get you close, it's totally getting you at least closer to your exact shade. What's wonderful about Il Makiage is that you can try the product and see if it is your shade, if you love it. And if you need a change of shade, you can always contact the Il Makiage team, and then you can all exchange for the actual shade that you are. But normally, everybody that I know that has taken the test has gotten really, really close to their shade. Maybe a couple of people have not, but it gets you in a good frame of where you should be in terms of your skin tone. But it's a wonderful foundation. But let's get started. So we've already prepped the skin. We're gonna go, Hannah's actually gonna go in with a little bit of that's the primer. And she's gonna tell you a little bit about why she likes that. I'm gonna go straight into actual foundation.
So I'll be using the No Filter Poreless Base Smoothing Primer. So this is great just to make sure it fills in any pores and make sure you have like a perfect canvas for your foundation. So I'll be going in with this.
And I saw a comment here that says, unfortunate, my foundation goes on too cakey. Is there a more hydrating one? So like I said, my skin is a little bit more dry. With this specific foundation, because it's a demi-matte formula, it's gonna dry down to not a full matte, but a demi, more of a natural matte. So for dry skin, you can use an oil base, so something that moisturizer that's oil based, or you can even use an oil. And in combination with this foundation, it gives me more of a natural finish instead of a matte natural finish. So you can totally mix it with a little bit of oil, and it really, really helps kind of change the finish of the foundation. So if you're more dry, you can still experience this foundation by just using a little bit of an oil. I love, love oil. I use mostly oils on my face, on my skin. So it's one of my favorite things to add into my skincare to really nourish the skin. So you can use that in combination, and you use less powder. So you don't really have to use as much powder. You can even avoid using powder. Normally, if I'm feeling more dry on my skin, I'm using the powder only on the areas where I most need it. So under the eyes, around any of my smile lines, if I want to cut any moisture in that area. So I'm going to be going straight into my foundation. Hannah used the primer, the Poreless Smoothing Primer. Wonderful, the No Filter Primer. It really creates a filter over the skin. It helps smooth out any texture. It helps fill in any pores. It's great for, prolonging the wear of your foundation. So, and it's also going to be hydrating at the same time that it is controlling the oils in the skin. So Hannah used it all over the skin. You don't really have to use it all over the skin. You could totally use it only on some areas. But if you want that filter all over, yes. So she went in with a little bit of that. She's going to go into a little bit of foundation. I'm going to go into a little bit of my foundation. You can either dot the skin, you can apply the foundation with your brush, either or. But actually first, I'm going to be starting off with the concealer. So I'm using the concealer in the shade 08. And I'm going to be using that on the centers of my face to create a little bit of brightness around my face before I go in with my foundation. There's really no right or wrong way of doing a specific look or getting to a specific finish. There are different processes that people can go through to get to the same finish or to get to different type of finishes in terms of what you like for your makeup. So it's all about you creating your own rules and creating your own routine for your makeup and how you like you to present yourself to the world. So I'm going in with the concealer, and this is also going to be a natural matte finish. This is the Flawless concealer. Again, I'm using the shade 08, and it's really wonderful because, again, natural matte, it's going to dry down. For oily skin, this is great because it helps control oil. For dry skin, this is great because I don't get to use as much powder. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that, and I'm going to just create a couple of lines. I want to get this little triangle area right here. I'm going to do a little bit into the forehead area, down the bridge of the nose, and then a little bit through here in the chin area. And then because I get a little bit darker through this area right here, I like to add a little bit of brightness through that area. So brightness in the areas where I really want it, down the bridge of the nose, on this triangle area of the under eye, a little bit through the chin, a little bit through the forehead. And Hannah's using the wonderful Il Makiage sponge. It's beautiful. It's bouncy. You want to use it. Do you use it wet, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Always, you got to use it wet.
Yes.
Because it really, really helps kind of melt the makeup into the skin, make it a little bit more airbrushed. When I'm using a brush, I'm always still going in with the blender because it really, really helps kind of press it into the skin and make it really beautiful. Yes. Okay. I see that. Natural. Yes. I'm going to be going in with the brush, and I'm using the 112 Duo Fiber Multitasking Brush. I love this brush. It's got, you know, your base that's a little bit thicker, and the top area is going to be a little bit more thinner. It really blends this makeup into the skin. It really makes it a little bit more airbrush as well, but really blends it in a little bit more lightly. So as I'm blending that in, I'm going to be looking through these comments. I see. Is the line good for dark skin? Yes. What's beautiful about the Il Makiage foundation is that they have a full range of foundations. So great for the lightest of skin tones and for the deepest of complexions. So you can really, really find your shade. The great thing as well is that they have different undertones. So as you go through the shade range, you're going to have different undertones for the different foundations, depending on your undertone. That's super, super important, getting to know your undertone. And it's a great question that they ask for the actual quiz, what colors you see in your vein area, because this is going to really determine what is your undertone. If you see more green veins, you are going to have more of a golden undertone. If you see more purple bluish veins, you may be more a little bit more on the pink undertone, and then a little bit of both. If you see both green and a little bit of purple, then you are definitely going to be a little bit more neutral tone. So that's a great way to kind of figure out what is your undertone or get you close to what your undertone is. But definitely they have a wide range of shades, beautiful shades. So yes, you can definitely find your shade. That's what I love about Il Makiage. A lot of times, you know, beauty brands are not providing that full range of shade for all skin tones. So it's very, very important. And that's a great thing. One of the great things about Il Makiage, that they do have a really wide range of shades. So I'm going in and blending this in. And as I'm blending this in, I'm just going in the areas where I've applied it. What step are you on, Hannah? I'm sorry, I've been taking over the talking. Tell me a little bit about what you are using.
So I'm moving on to the I'm Flawless concealer in shade 8 and 9. I'm going to be mixing both. So 9 would be closest to my skin color. So this, I'll use it just to correct any blemishes I have. And then the 8 is a little bit lighter. So I'm going to be using that just to highlight the inner corner of my eyes and on the bridge of my nose and wherever else I want to highlight.
So Hannah actually started off with foundation and then she went into concealer. I'm starting off with concealer and then I'm going into foundation. Again, there's no right or wrong way. It's what you best like to do. Your favorite kind of routine for your face. As long as you look flawless at the end, take whatever route you'd like. So I'm going through the comments a little bit so that we make sure we answer everybody's question. Okay, and then Hannah, so you said you were using 2 concealers, right?
Correct.
So you're using a mix of concealers. That's totally okay. When you want to conceal any under eye darkness, you could use a color corrector or you could use a concealer that's more closer to your natural skin tone. But if you also want to brighten, you can always use a concealer that's a little bit brighter and add it on the areas where you want a little bit more brightness. So you could definitely combo concealers depending on what kind of finish you want and what is the purpose of why you are using them. Someone said, I love how you're not using a 10. Yes, what's great about this foundation, it looks so natural to the skin. You don't have to use that much. It's beautiful on the skin. And if you want a little bit more coverage, you definitely can with adding another layer or going in with a little bit more concealer. I love this foundation and concealer. Would you need to change foundation colors for fall, winter, and spring, summer? Yes. Our skin is always evolving. Our skin is always changing. So you always want to remember that and keep up. So in the winter, we're usually normally a little bit more lighter. In the summer, we're definitely a little bit more tan because we're catching a little bit more sun, depending on where you are living. So take that into account as well. Out here in California, it is hot. So we have been getting a lot of sun. I've gotten a little bit tanner, and there's different ways that you can use your foundation, even if your foundation is a little too light for you now, or it's a little bit too deep for you, depending on if it's winter or summer. There's ways that you can use it still. So you definitely do want to switch up your foundation, definitely, depending on how much sun you're getting. If you don't get a lot of sun, then you may not have to, but if you do, then yes, you have to kind of evolve with the skin. And if the skin is a little bit, depending on the type of sun that you are getting. Should concealer be lighter than your foundation? Not necessarily. A lot of times when somebody wants a little bit more of a natural look to their skin, I'll use a concealer that's going to be more closer to their natural skin tone, because then they don't have to go into too much blending. It blends naturally into the skin. It blends naturally with the foundation. If you like a little bit more brightness, you could definitely go for a concealer that's a little bit brighter. Hannah's using something that's very close to her natural skin tone, and then she's using something that's a little bit lighter. So you can totally combo it or use one or the other. Again, there's no right or wrong way. You make the rules for your makeup and how you like to look. What brushes are great for beginners? I love the blender. The MAKIAGE blender is wonderful. Yes, it makes it easier to blend. It makes the skin look very airbrushed. So I love that. Okay. So there is I have super dark circles. What should I do to help? So what Hannah did is something really great that you can do to make sure that you address any under eye darkness, again, using a concealer that's more closer to your natural skin tone, or you can definitely also use a concealer that's going to be a color correcting concealer. So I love the concealers from MAKIAGE. These are really great. I love them. You could just dot the skin. They also have their palette that is their cream concealer palette. So it has different shades that you can use for color correcting. We're actually doing a class class on that. I believe at the end of this week or sometime in this month. So stay tuned for it. We're going to talk a little bit about more into color correcting. But their cream concealer palette is really, really amazing. I love it. It comes with a range of different colors that you can use for under eye darkness. But you can always mix a little bit of these or get the concealer palette that has kind of everything in one. Really, really nice. So I started off with my concealer. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of my foundation. And I like to kind of pop some on the back of my hand and pick up little by little with my brush. I don't like to go straight into the foundation and go straight into the skin because then you get uneven patches. There's more on one side than there is on the other side. So I like to pick up little by little. And I'm just adding into the areas where I haven't really put any concealer. And I'm buffing into the skin. What I have left, I like to blend down here. Any kind of tips that you want to share, Hannah, that when you are applying your foundation or when you're applying your concealer?
Blend, 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 blend.
Honey, yes. Who taught you that?
My sister.
Yes. Blending is super, super important. That is one rule that, yes, I like to abide by. But blending is key. So what I have left, I always blend down into the neckline. I'm grabbing a little bit more and we're going to the other side of the skin. So as you can see, I'm not really using this on top of the concealer too much, only on the areas where we didn't really put concealer. And then I'm blending into that concealer area. Okay, so let's see. Let's read a couple more questions as we go. Someone said, what if I don't have a routine at all? First, decide about what you want to kind of use on your face. Do you want to use a little bit of a base? Do you want to use a base and a concealer? Do you want to just use the base? Do you want to use a little bit of bronzer, a little bit of blusher? Because you always want to add a little bit of that color in through the skin to help kind of create a little bit more dimension and structure in the skin. And it's about what do you want more of a natural finish? Do you want more of a full glam kind of finish? So that's going to help you determine what your routine is going to be and what you can use. On a daily basis, I love using a little bit more concealer, a little bit more gloss, a little bit more of my brow, and that's it. On days that I am definitely going to be going to run errands, I like to use a little extra glam. So I'll do something different. It doesn't always have to be the same. It also depends on where you're going, what you will be doing. So all of that you have to take into account. So I'm going in with a little bit more on the rest of the skin. And a little bit goes a long way. I always say start off with a little bit because you could always add on. You could always build. It's easier to add on than it is to kind of erase. And then we're blending. That's kind of funny. Blending. My earring got lost in the sauce. Okay. Yes, that is looking flawless. Now, to brighten up a little bit, let's say we didn't mix 2 shades. You can always start off by mixing 2 shades how Hannah did. If I want to create a little bit more brightness at the end after I put on my concealer and my base, I could always use a concealer that's just a little bit lighter. So this one is in the shade 02, and it's definitely a few shades lighter, but I'm just going to be using a bit of that through this area. Just a touch of it. Just a touch of it through here. And then that's pretty much the only areas I want to brighten just a touch more. So I'm going to use this guy and blend in this area. Can you substitute concealer with banana powder? In my opinion, no. it'll help kind of brighten the area, but it won't be as long lasting as the concealer is going to be in combination with the powder. I would do it in combination with the powder, but definitely the concealer is needed. Any other tips that you like, Hannah, when applying your, adding a little bit into the, blending that out?
Definitely less is more for me.
Okay.
I don't like a super heavy foundation. I like it more skin-like, and this foundation is great because it's buildable, so you can start with a little bit, and it's a demi-matte finish, so it definitely gives you a skin-like finish, like you can see.
Yes, it's very natural on the skin. Yeah. Somebody asked about the brush I'm using. I'm using 112, the Dual Fiber Multitasking Brush. Love this to blend out the foundation. Hannah is using the blender sponge, and and that one, both of them are really, really great. I like using a combination of both or just one. It's up to you on your, you know, what you like using. Do you like using brush, or if you like using a sponge? What's the main difference between a sponge and a brush? So the main difference is going to be the sponge, I feel, works really well with every skin texture. It works really well with textured skin. Even when I'm using a brush, I'm always going to go in with the sponge to really press it into the skin. Brushes sometimes really work with, it depends on the brush that you're using as well. This is a duo fiber brush that actually blends a little bit more light on the skin. So it kind of helps thin out the foundation a little bit. It's not going to give a ton of coverage. So that's why I love this foundation brush. But it also, with this sponge, I think it's very easier to blend, like way easier to blend with a sponge than it is with a brush. If you're a beginner, I say start off with a sponge. You want to press into the skin. You don't want to pull too much. You want to press into the skin, you know, just like a little massage. You want to use it wet. And you want to make sure that you are either dotting the face so that you get even application all over, or you're picking up little by little. It depends on what you like to do. But those are kind of some tips that I like to recommend when using a sponge. So I've gone in with the rest of my foundation. Let me just use a bit left of it through the sides of the nose, a little bit merged into my concealer area. And it says, what about people who have spots from acne? How do you minimize the use of concealer and foundation so that you can have a natural look? I use a lot of foundation, and hours after I looked all caked up. What I recommend is using the concealer first, using something that's very close to your natural skin tone, and using it on the areas where you want to correct. Something that's lighter is not going to do the job at correcting the darkness under the eye or any acne spots. So you want to use something that's very close to your natural skin tone. Also, love this palette. The next class I'm doing, I'm actually talking a lot more about this palette and the color correcting that you can do with it. It's beautiful, beautiful palette, but I love using the concealer first. Use it on the areas where you need it, and then you go in with the foundation, because the concealer usually packs a little bit more of a punch and gives you a little bit more coverage. So we finished with base already, and now we're gonna go into adding a little bit of brightness, highlighting it up with a little bit of blusher. It's a great way to kind of brighten the skin. It's a great way to brighten Mondays, but yes. And it's just a great way to also add a little bit more structure to the face. So the first tip was using a little bit of a lighter concealer to help brighten a little bit. You can use something that's just a shade lighter, or you can use a combination of something that's close to your natural skin tone and something that's a few shades lighter. We both use it in two very different ways. Both ways is totally fine. It's going to get you to the same kind of result. And then the next tip is going to be blusher. So this is kind of something that I taught Hannah, but she's taken this on, and we all have matte lipsticks that we love. I love the MAKIAGE matte lip cream. This is the Infinity Longwear Matte Lip Cream, and she's going to be using the shade Matte Chill Us. And a great way to use this is actually Hannah is going to go in with that lip cream. And you're thinking, lip cream on the cheeks? Totally fine. Always make sure that you take into account your skin type. So if you're more dry, more combination. If you're more oily, a matte lip cream works really well on the skin because it's going to dry down. The same way that it dries down on the lips, it's going to dry down on the cheeks. If you're more on the dry side, that means that it's going to be more long lasting. It's going to last with you throughout the day, and you get to use a less powder. This is not the normal way that you use this lip cream, but I just wanted to show you a little trick about how you can apply it to the lips, but also use it to kind of brighten the face. And it gives you a little bit of a monochromatic look. It looks very beautiful depending on the shade that you are using. So Hannah's going to be using a little bit of that as a blusher. She's just going to go in and dot a little bit, you know, right on the apple of the cheek. And then she's going to use, you know, you can use your fingers or you can use the blender. Okay, she likes her fingers, so she's going to use the fingers to really blend that into the skin. You want to kind of blend in circular motions and out, and it looks very natural on the skin. It helps brighten up a little bit more. It looks very, very beautiful. And then pop a little bit of that on the lips. You got yourself a look, a little mascara, and boom, you're out the door. You know, you don't have to always do so many things. It's about, you know, choosing what you want to highlight, choosing what you want to brighten, choosing what you want to be your focus for your makeup look that day. Okay, so, oh, they said, Hannah, that looks good.
Thank you.
Yes. Is this product SPF free? Yes, it does not contain SPF. I always recommend in terms of skincare, because skincare is very important, that you have your SPF that you wear on a daily basis, whether you're wearing foundation or you're not, and then you wear your foundation. This doesn't have SPF, so it won't protect you from the sun, but I always recommend having your SPF and then your foundation, because a little tip, when your SPF has foundation, you will show up white if they're taking a flash picture. Yes, it has happened to all of us. It's happened to me. You show up white because that SPF flashes back white. So I don't really recommend SPF in your foundation. But if you want, you know, that sun protection, that is very important. You got to be doing sun protection every day. You want to be using a SPF skincare and then your foundation. Mm-hmm. So that answers that question, but that's very good. SPF is important, very important. Okay, I'm going through the questions. Okay, yes. Slightly blush, looks very natural. Hannah likes to go for more of a natural look. I like to as well, but every now and then I like to spice it up and give you glam, full glam. So do you recommend baking for people who have dry skin? No, I do not recommend baking for people who have dry skin. Oily skin, bake away. People with dry skin, I would say stay away from it, because it can make the skin look more dry and cracked. The beauty about this foundation is that it dries down to a matte finish, so you don't necessarily have to bake. But baking can also be used to highlight certain areas. I would actually, a little trick is you can always use your lighter foundation and your deeper foundation around the outer portion of the face. If you want to kind of create that highlighting and contouring effect. It's another way that you could kind of create that. So what else? So Hannah's going into a little bit of that. What's next for you, Hannah?
I'm going to do a little bit of some bronzer, and that's going to be the Mineral Baked Bronzer in the shade Wannabe.
Yes, I love that one. It's a very natural bronzer. You know, you can really get crazy with it, and it's not going to look muddy on the face. It's going to look very natural to your tone. It's just a few shades deeper in tone, but it's a very beautiful kind of powder. Because it's a mineral finish, it means it's going to be very skin-like. So it's going to mimic the skin as opposed to a matte bronzer or any matte powders. Mineralized finishes always give you more of that skin-like quality. Great for dry skin, amazing for dry skin if you still want to use powder, but you don't want to use too much powder. So using a mineralized finish is wonderful. For dry skin, stay away from matte. Unless you, I mean, like in terms of powders, if you're using a matte foundation, beautiful. It dries down. You don't have to use a powder. If you're more oily, it's a little bit different. But hopefully that answers that question. So Hannah's going to go into a little bit of that bronzer, give her a little bit more structure. Setting spray and powder. Setting spray really helps for the foundation not to transfer. Powder really helps with setting the foundation in place. But setting sprays can also set the foundation in place. It's okay to use a combination of it or one or the other, depending if you're more dry, combo, or oily skin. Is the Il Makiage concealer great without color correcting? It is, but it really depends on the intensity of the under eye darkness or of the acne pigmentation or the hyperpigmentation in the skin. Sometimes the concealer, because it's built in with that undertone, it's going to help color correct. But depending on the severity of the under eye darkness or the pigmentation, the hyperpigmentation in the skin, it's going to, you're definitely going to have to adjust. So Hannah used a combination of both. That worked well enough for her. But there's also, like I mentioned before, the cream concealer palette. Il Makiage also has their color correctors, which are wonderful, wonderful. All of, this one is going to kind of be fade proof. It's really going to stay put. And that's what I love about their products. They're very lightweight, but they stay put. They really, really go into a lot of formulation to make sure that these products stay put throughout the day. And yes, they are going to be loyal. So going in through a little bit more questions. Okay, yes, Bronza. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, I'm going through the questions. How do you choose the appropriate bronzer? A few shades, it depends again on the intensity that you like your bronzer to be. I like my bronzer to be a couple shades deeper in complexion, just a couple for more of a natural feel. If you like something a little bit more intense, you could do more than a couple shades deeper, but it all depends on, your style and how you like your bronzer. But I would just start off with a couple shades deeper, and then you can intensify as you go and see what you like. Okay, so I've gone in with my concealer. I went in with foundation. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of powder. So I'm going to set the skin just slightly on the areas where I want, because I use an oil with this foundation, I definitely will be shiny on some areas that I get a little bit more shiny throughout the day. So I'm actually just using the powder on the areas where I get shiny, my T-zone area, a little bit under my eyes, and a little bit in my smile lines because I want to cut the moisture in that area. I'm using the transparent loose powder. Love, love, love this stuff. It's a white powder. It's going to be translucent, transparent on all skin types. It's a really lightweight powder. It's going to really help control any shine and set the makeup very lightly. So I'm going to do a little bit of that on a small brush. Just a little bit of that, pat it into the skin, blend out. Same on the under eye area. Just through there. And then a little bit through my smile lines. Because I smile a lot and I tend to crease up in that area. Creasing will always kind of happen, but with this foundation, with the proper priming and prepping of the skin, it makes it so that it's budge proof, it stays put, it looks natural, it looks like it's just your skin, like flawless, you woke up like this. So let's go into, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of blusher. What brush is Hannah using right now? So she is using the Il Makiage Kabuki style brush. Wonderful brush for applying bronzer to set your makeup. It's beautiful. As you can see, she really used it all throughout, and you can squeeze it if you want. Sorry, I'm going to steal it from you. You can squeeze it if you want like a little bit more drama. So squeeze it like that. You can use it regular. You can use it regular and use it a little bit more freely. It's a beautiful, beautiful, very beautiful blending tool to apply blusher, bronzer, everything. So this is really, really cute. I'm going to go in with a little bit of blusher now, and I'm going to go in with the Poker Face. This is their Mineral Baked Blush in the color Poker Face. It's a beautiful kind of very pretty berry pink, very natural, gorgeous, also mineral finish. So it's going to look very skin-like, very natural on the skin. Hannah used her lip cream as a blusher, and a little bit on the lips also looks very beautiful. I'm going to use a powder blusher, and I'm going to go into a little bit of that guy with the same brush. And I'm going to apply that through the cheekbone area, and you want to smile when you're doing this. That way it shows you exactly where that cheek sits. A little bit of that through there, and then blending up. Great way to brighten the face, to lift the face. You don't want to put it too low because then the face sags a little bit. It makes the face look like it's, it doesn't give the face more structure. So you want to be very mindful of where you are placing the blusher so that it doesn't make the face look like it's drooping. It lifts the face. It makes always the face look very lifted. So a little bit more of that. I'm really digging my brush in there, and it'll it's such a beautiful color. It never looks too crazy. But if ever you get a little bit too heavy-handed with the blush, you can always go back in with your brush and just soften the edges. You can always definitely do that. So I'm going to do a little bit of that through this area, blending that in and then blending it up to lift the face. Add a little bit more on this side, blending up. And then I like to add a little bit through the center of the nose. And then I also like to grab a little bit of that and pop that through the lid. It gives if you can see, it just kind of helps brighten up the look. It gives you a little bit more pizzazz. So I added a little bit through there. I'm going to add a little bit through the eye, through the other eye. And then you can use a smaller brush to add this into the eye. I'm using it very lightly, so I'm just adding it very loosely through the eye. Yes! What are you going to be using next, Hannah?
I think I'm going to go in with brows. So I think I'll do the Fill and Fix Brow Shaper in the color Hypnotize. So this is like a eyebrow gel, but it's tinted. So it's good. I am not an expert when I'm doing my brows, so this is great. Because I can just go and brush through my hairs, and it gives it a little bit of color and just a little bit of like a light coverage. Looks very natural.
This guy is really great for more fuller brows. It has this like super tiny brush. I love it. The color range is also beautiful. Hannah's using the shade Cocoa, and this is great. Again, like she said, she's not like an expert on makeup, but she loves using this product because you can apply it very easily. Again, works great for more fuller brows.
Yeah, shade Cocoa.
Yes. And then what do you normally recommend when you're applying that guy for yourself? Like, do you have any tricks on how you
I like to start at the end of the tail of your brow because you want to do it a little bit darker at the end and then lightly in the front. So I'll start at the end, just brushing up. And then going downwards at the end of the tail. And then in the front, just lightly brushing upwards. And just fixing a little.
Yes. Gorgeous. And as you can see, it just gives the brow a little bit more dimension. It perfects it a touch more. It's going to make it stay in place. It's going to be very long lasting. I love, love, love this stuff. I'm going to be using the brow pen in truffles, and it's the Il Makiage brow pen in truffles. I'm just doing a little bit of that through the ends of the brow, just giving it a touch of love. Just elongating the brow a touch. I love, love this guy, also long lasting. And you don't want to go for a color that's too deep. You want to go for something that gives that background. Gorgeous. Just love this pen. And as you can see, it just gives me a little bit more definition on the brows. I have this area that's a little bit scarce. So, you know, so I go in and I fill it in a touch more. But it's not always necessary that you put this all over the brow, only in the areas where you most need it. And always kind of drawing strokes that are in the same direction as how the hair grows. I'm just going to slightly add a little more drama to the end. Beautiful. And our brows are cousins, not identical twins, so they don't always have to look super similar. Don't stress yourself out. We all have cousin eyebrows. So I saw a question that said, how do I, where is this? Why did Hannah put the bronzer on her neck? Our neck usually is a little bit lighter because it doesn't catch as much sun because of our chin area. It's always kind of protecting it. So adding a little bit of bronzer to the neck area makes it all kind of look the same color. And you're also adding a little bit more dimension into this area to make the jawline look a little bit more extra structured.
Hide that double chin, ladies.
Okay. Where is that question? So how do you choose a blusher for your skin? There was one question that said, how do I choose blusher for African American skin? So a lot of times, you know, for deeper complexions, you know, my clients think that they can't use bright colors, or they can't use, it's going to look too crazy. And actually the brighter colors look beautiful on the skin. The deeper complexions really help make that color just look, it looks so nice and bright on the skin. It looks like a natural kind of blusher on the skin. So colors that are a little bit deeper reds, berries are going to be beautiful. Brighter pinks are going to be beautiful. Go for those brighter colors. For more fair skin tones, I use colors that are going to be a little bit lighter, that are going to be a little bit more pastel toned. For deeper complexions, I'm going to go for the blushes that are a little bit brighter because they're going to look beautiful against the skin. So if that helps, go for it. Try out those blushes that are a little bit brighter. Use it in its lightest form and pop them on the cheek. It just makes it look like you're just softly blushing. It looks very natural. Depending on the type of blusher that you get, it can also look a little bit more intense. But you want to go for those colors that are more pigmented, that are a little bit brighter. Yes, the SPF shows up white in pictures. So remember, guys, use SPF, but you know, you want to be mindful that products that have SPF in them, you can't use them when you're doing those flash photographies. Like if they take a picture of you at night and they're using flash, it's going to show up white. So I'm looking at a few more questions. And then Hannah, anything, so you already finished off with your
brows.
yeah, so she's got her finished look. It's very natural. It's very just everyday, just a quick way to brighten up your makeup. I added a little bit more drama by adding that blusher into the eyes. So just gonna answer a few more questions. And then lastly, I'm gonna show you guys how to use the setting spray, which is my favorite. So I went in with a little bit of blusher at the end. I go in with a little bit of this setting spray, the hydrating setting spray, because it's amazing. It really hydrates the skin. It makes the skin look a little bit more plump. It makes the skin look hydrated. It also is gonna help control a little bit of the oil. It's really also going to lock the makeup in. It's gonna make it fade proof, crack proof, everything. It's gonna stay put. So I love, 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 love this stuff. I'm gonna spray you. So close your eyes. I like to do a little bit of an X and then a plus sign. Woo! And then fan that out. Same thing for me. A little bit of a plus sign. So make sure you, yes, thank you, sis. Make sure you really feel it all over the face. You could do a couple of more layers of this guy. The more the better is what I always say. Ooh, the more the better is what I always say with this guy. For clients, I'm always setting the face a few more times because it really locks it into the skin. It really locks the foundation in place. It's very hydrating, like I said, so that's what I really love about it. I'm just going to do a little bit more. I just love this guy. So I'm just going to fan that out. And it really, really just, again, melts the makeup a little bit more into the skin. Give them a close-up, Hannah.
Very skin-like.
Very skin-like. It just gives a little bit more coverage. The skin looks very natural. So we're going to go into a little bit of these questions. How do I make my makeup look less cakey? Like I said prior, you can always use your foundation in combination with a skincare that's a little bit richer, that's a little bit more moisturizing. You can even mix a little bit of oil into your foundation is a great way to kind of make it look less cakey if your skin is more dry, because this is meant to be more of a demi-matte finish, a natural matte finish to the skin, but you are able to totally change it up, switch it up. Is there a setting spray that you recommend for dry skin? For all skin types, but especially dry, this is the real deal. Like, it's so, so nice. It's hydrating for the skin. So so it works perfectly with this foundation. This is more of a natural matte finish. And then in combination with this, it just locks it in, makes it look hydrated, controls the oil, does everything in one. I love, love, love. This guy is my favorite. I mean, holy grails, and of course the foundation and the concealer. I can't make them on mine. I love all of them. And what do you like about the products, Hannah? You've been using the foundation and the concealer. I know Hannah told me that she really loved it because she likes to use less powder as well.
Yeah, I definitely don't like to add too much powder. It depends on the occasion. So an everyday look, I'm not really using a lot of powder. I just want it very minimal, skin-like. And so I use no powder in the foundation. It covers well. You can build on it. And then the concealer is a little bit here and there. But just keeping it super minimal for an everyday look. And if you don't feel like you're wearing tons of makeup, like a heavy, thick layer, it's super lightweight and it's very great.
Yes. Yes, I love, love, love the products. Okay, so let me see any other questions. Any suggestions on a highlighter blush? You can always even use a combination of things. So I'm going to do a little bit of the Real Deal Color Boss Squad Multidimensional. I love this is for the eyes, but you can always do a little bit of that highlight. I'm just doing the highlighting color. And I'm popping that right through the tops of the high points of my cheeks, and I'm blending that into the blush. So it gives that kind of highlighting, blushing effect. You can always do a combination of both. So if you see on this side, it's more natural. This side gives you a little bit more of a highlighting.
Extra glam.
Yeah, it's a little more drama to the eye. So lastly, just to go over kind of what we used, Hannah used the Infinity Longwear Matte Lip Cream in the shade Matte Chill Us 419. She used that a little bit on the cheeks. And then she also used her foundation in the shade 120. Concealer, she used 2 shades.
8 and 9.
8 and 9. So one that's a little bit closer to her complexion and helps color correct, and one that's a little bit lighter. I used the concealer in the shade 8, and then my foundation was the shade 040. And then for my blusher, I used the Poker Face Mineral Baked Blush. It's in the color Poker Face. And then I also used the loose setting powder, and we both used a hydrating setting spray. Hannah used also the bronzer, which I love, love, love this guy. This also amps up your highlight a little bit more. The Wannabe Mineral Baked Bronzer, color Wannabe. So this guy I love. But just a few tips how you can highlight it up is adding a little bit of a lighter concealer to help brighten. You can always do blusher to help brighten the skin, because it's not always just using a highlighting concealer that you can brighten the skin. You can use blusher to brighten the skin and make the skin look more lively. Yes, more fresh. And it really creates a little bit more dimension. As soon as I put in that blusher, it gives me a little bit more contour action, or you can use that bronzer to give you a little bit more of that contour action. Okay, yes, I'm glad you guys enjoyed this class, that you love it. It's a great way to kind of just do more of a natural, everyday kind of look by just brightening up a few things of your choosing, a few areas of your face of your choosing. Oh, yes. And then Hannah also used a primer. So she used the No Filter Poreless Base Smoothing Primer. So we are near the end of our class. I'm just going to get to the bottom just to make sure I've gotten all questions. Do you ever put foundation on your ears? Yes. If you're going to be, if your hair is pulled up, you want to put a little bit of foundation in your ears. Just what you have left on your brush, pop that in there is really good. Yes, you guys are very welcome. We love all of you. We thank you guys all for being here today, for taking the time out of your day to learn with us. I hope it was enjoyable. I hope you could take little things here and there that help with your, with your makeup routine and creating your makeup routine and seeing what you like best. The products are really, really amazing. The wonderful thing about Il Makiage is that you're able to try them and then you can commit and decide if you really want to keep them. But yeah, these are amazing. So we haven't had any problems with them. We love, love, love this guy. Again, there's different ways that you can use the foundation, different ways that you can tailor it to your specific skin type. So we love you guys. We thank you guys for being here today. Stay tuned for a little gift that you will be receiving. So you guys will be receiving a little gift in your email, so stay tuned for that. It's just a big thank you from us and Il Makiage for being here today, for taking the time out of your day. We hope that wherever you guys are, you are blessed, that you are happy, that you're abundant in all good things. So thank you again for being here today. See you later, guys.